here as well. Father Eugene is here. And Whitestone, everybody else.
They don't count.
They don't count. For those of you that don't know, Father Eugene is the Archbishop of Brooklyn. Okay? And there is a Diniquet at the back, so as you leave, he's accepting donations. We're poor, yes. So the community was nice enough to host the screening. Bob realized that for you guys to be able to appreciate it, we needed a bigger screen, a nicer projector, and I know you got a $20 million complex over there, but you're missing a movie theater. So please let the parish council know that that's one of the next things you guys should be doing.
That's next.
Okay, movie theater, yes. So with that, listen, the important thing is that we're here tonight. We come out in 2 weeks and support it. Bob Krantz, for those of you who didn't get a chance to figure it out, is Harala Buscarunzos. So, not that there's anything wrong with being an Hebreo, but he's not an Hebreo, he's a Greek. So one of the things we don't do, even though we have all these prominent communities and great business people and wonderful Orthodox Christians, is sometimes we fail in supporting our own. There are not that many Greek filmmakers doing really good faith-based work, even though, for those of you that don't know, a Cypriot got an Academy Award, a Greek got an Academy Award, and one of the main players behind Netflix is a Greek as well. So, yes. Well, yes, you're right. So we're here to support Bob in his endeavors, because if this movie does well, he's going to continue his good work. This movie, he screened it for us in in Long Beach. And that's how I got involved, because I thought it was a worthwhile effort to try to help. I think you'll all be happy with what you're going to see tonight. So without further ado, the producer, the director, the editor, and the co-star, Bob Krantz.
Thank you. The one part Jimmy left off was that when we screened it in Long Beach, we weren't even going to open in New York. I just didn't know anybody. And so Jimmy, after the screening was over, he said, "Where are you opening in New York?" And I said, "I don't know anybody in New York." And for whatever reason, through all my travels, for those of you who know, I did Do You Want to Dance was the first film I did about 22 years ago. And then what happened is as I've been telling a few of you outside, what happened, we made Do You Want to Dance, and then my wife and I got pregnant with triplet boys. And so to give you kind of this, they're going to get this set up, so I have a few minutes here, but what happened was, she became pregnant. She's 5'3", 100 pounds, and they tried to tell us to abort 1 or 2 of them. And so after many tears and many, many prayers, we went back to the doctors and said we weren't going to do that. And he said at 12 weeks she went into labor. And he turned to us and said, "I'm not worried about these 3 boys dying." He goes, "What I'm worried about is you're going to have 3 invalids. And you will get divorced, and your lives will be simply over at that point." And my wife is a therapist, and she said, "He's not lying. I counsel people to go through this." So for those of you that know the hymn Arni Parthena, somebody sent us that. This was right before the internet took off, so my poor wife, she was stuck watching reruns of 90210, and then when that was over, she would put in the hymn from Arni Parthena, and anytime we hear that hymn, it's emotional for us. So we, through enormous prayer, finally went back to the doctors and said, whatever God gives us, we're going to accept. And I don't say that with any bravado, because believe me, we were on our, as a Greek, you always think I can work harder, I'll figure this out, but that was a point in my life that no matter how hard I worked or whatever I did, I couldn't do anything. All I could do was one thing, was rely on God. And that's what we did. So she went from 12 weeks, where she went into labor, and then they gave her cerclage, and so she made it to 15 weeks, and then 18 weeks, and then 20 weeks, and the doctor was saying, she was just 2 more weeks, because that's when the brain formed and so forth. She made it to 22 weeks more, and all the while she had a monitor, and she had to keep going to the hospital. It would go off in the middle of the night, bam, we'd go to the emergency room, and finally the doctor said, "Look, you come in here one more time before Labor Day, I'm going to tell you, as your doctor, you need to abort 1 or 2 of these children." But once you know, on Labor Day, it went off. So we went in there. Now here's my wife, 5'3", the doctor's 6'2", and as he walked into the room to see us, my wife came out of the bathroom putting on her gown, and she looked up at him and she said, I don't care what you're gonna say, I'm not getting rid of any of these kids, so if that's what you came in here to say, you can turn around because I'm keeping all three of them, whatever they are. He just started laughing, she's tiny, she's pointing at him, so he said, okay, we'll try and make it. So we got to 28 weeks, 30 weeks, at 30, I think it was about 30 weeks, he turned to my wife. All of his all of his, the women who were walking around as they were carrying multiples, my wife, we had to put her in on a gurney to bring her in, because she had put on 60 pounds, more than half the weight. Finally turned to my wife, finally figured out who she was. He goes, all right, look, I've been wrong all along. Why don't you just tell me when you're going to give birth and I'll show up. She said, December 20th, it's Yaya's birthday, and so that was it. It was December 20th, she gave birth, and they told us that they thought, at the time, he said, look, we don't know what your kids are, but they may have some physical difficulties and some, they didn't know what was going to happen with them. Well, God did. Those boys went on to be 3 top scholar athletes through middle school, through high school. Anyway, yeah, it's tough for me to even talk about it now, because since then, as I've gone out with all our other films and so forth, invariably along the way, I would hear someone tell me a story about triplets that were born deaf. There was one that was born deaf and blind. It's never left my mind just how unbelievable God is and how great He's been. And that I could give you so many examples. When we premiered this film, one of the things I said, there's always a scripture that comes to my mind when I make movies. And in this one it was, if you acknowledge me in front of man, I will acknowledge you in front of my Father in heaven. And that is primary to what I'm doing with this movie and with my life. God has done just such unbelievable things in my life, and it's just in moments where there was no answer. And you know, for example, to give you another example, my mother-in-law 2 years ago had a brain aneurysm and collapsed on the floor. And the doctors came in, and I'll never forget, and said, basically, consider her dead. And I was in that room when they said it with my father-in-law, me, and a friend of the family's. And we went from that room of absolute despair with holy oil over into the room where she was strapped up with so many tubes on her. She didn't look anything like my mother-in-law. They put the holy oil on her. Today, 2 years later, she's doing everything but talking. Completely recovered. That's who God is. That's the God I know, and that's why these films I make, I just, you know, I will be so interested to see what God does with this. I didn't mean to talk this long, but I guess they're still chewing it up. To give you a quick, what we are the 5 loaves and 2 fishes film. That's what we are. It has been several months of praying about this film for me to know how to approach God about this film. I didn't want to just randomly say to God, you know, here it is, do what you. I really gave it a lot of thought, and throughout Bible study and prayer and so forth, somebody said, a priest said something to me that caught my eye. He said, you know, when Christ was given the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, that was a lunch that the mother packed that day. I had never realized that.